Well, hello and good morning to my Holy Trinity family. It's really a blessing to be in the building today. It's been quite some time, and I've been enjoying Sunday service from my living room for the past couple months. But definitely nice to be here in the church today. And so, for those of you that don't know, I'm Doug Moore. I'm the noisy family that sits in the back with the four wild boys, and we've been members for about 10 years now. My wife Dean and I started attending 10 years ago when it was just the two of us, and here I am a decade later. It's six of us, and I'm wearing pajamas and a mask and speaking in front of a laptop. And so, one thing is certain, and that's you never know where God is gonna lead you, but it keeps life exciting. And so I was asked to speak about stewardship today, and candidly, I've never done that before. So I spent some time thinking about what does stewardship mean to me personally and to my family, and what does it mean to really any Christian? So personally, the word stewardship is actually, it comes up quite a bit in my day-to-day life. So in work, I work in the commercial insurance industry, and we aim to have a stewardship meeting with each one of our large clients once a year. And the purpose of that meeting is to strengthen our relationship with that client and to reflect on the service that we've performed for that client and have a dialogue about how we can maybe improve that service and strengthen that relationship moving forward. So personally, it's hard for me to not think of the word stewardship and think about that usage of it. But when I reflect on stewardship in the spiritual setting, to me, it's kind of one and the same, because stewardship is essentially reflecting on our relationship with God and acknowledging, our servitude with God, and thinking about how we can strengthen that relationship and how we can increase that servitude with God. The Bible references, of course, stewardship and the act of giving and offering wealth throughout the Bible as far back as the Old Testament, and there's often reference to some form of a burnt offering through celebration, whether it's a goat or a lamb or some prized livestock. And notably, it's never given because God is hungry. So, in other words, you never read a passage in which a goat is given to God and then God comes down and eats that goat. Right. And so the point being is that the act of giving throughout the Bible is not, the focus is not the practical usage of the giving. It's more so the obligation and the love of the one who is given back to God. It's the acknowledgement of God giving us life and giving thanks back to God. And so I think that in our worldly sense, it's hard to think about stewardship without thinking about things such as budgets and expenses and costs. And certainly that's a huge part of the reality of our world. But I would encourage us all to think about it as our relationship with God and our servitude to God. I reflect on a story that has been impactful for me years ago. I remember watching a news special on a man who worked on Wall Street and was laid off. I think this was during the Great Recession back around 2009 or so. And once a year, when it was bonus season, he would go through the process of making a large charitable donation each year. And this came about right around the time that he was laid off. And so him and his wife spent quite a bit of time talking about, what do we do this year? And do we continue that contribution, or do we skip it this year, or maybe reduce that contribution this year? So ultimately, they decided to go rogue, and they actually increased their charitable donation that year. And the way that the man explained it on the special was, it just felt like the right thing to do. Shortly thereafter, he found meaningful employment that he enjoyed even more than his prior employment, and actually rewarded him even better than his prior employment. And so that story has been impactful for me. I try to think about just the act of giving, and certainly we all have our budgetary obligations and our financial obligations. me personally, student loans have been the bane of my existence for about the last 10 years. And certainly, keeping 4 boys fed and planning for their future is always in my mind. But I try to challenge myself to think about the joys that God has provided me and giving thanks back to God. And year after year, I try to challenge myself, and year after year, God has rewarded me. And so I would encourage everyone, invite everyone to maybe think about it the same way and think about challenging yourself and reflecting on your relationship with God and your servitude with God, and really thinking about strengthening that partnership and that relationship. So that's what I had to say today, and thank you. Amen.
Amen. Amen.